I'm working on a novel. It is a story of my life and my sister's.
Make it short and spicy. And if the main character is a girl, make sure she's married by the end.
Ow, Joe!
In its breathless opening, Little Women establishes its tone very quickly. There's a few well-observed jokes, a pointed critique of gender roles, and then the camera energetically escorts a gleeful Saoirse Ronan as she runs down a beautifully realised 1800s New York City street. It's like Greta Gerwig setting out her stall and telling you what she has. Gerwig's ambitious adaptation of Louisa May Alcott's most famous novels intercut the childhood and early adulthood of the March sisters, an unruly and vivacious clan of troublemaking women. The plot concerns their trials and tribulations as they make their way in the world, focusing on their romances and their relationships with each other. Greta Gerwig burst onto the directing scene in 2017 with the fantastic Lady Bird, but the simplicity of that film's setting and direction led to some detractors saying that she wasn't that much of a directing talent. If you ask me, that's a big misunderstanding of the work of a director. Sometimes not noticing the hand of a filmmaker is a huge achievement in itself. That criticism, however, is impossible with Little Women because the scope of the film and its story is so vastly increased. The film spans about 7 years of time, cutting seamlessly back and forth between the Marsh's childhood, a mostly warm time of sisters together and their growing sense of themselves, and their adulthood, an altogether more difficult period that sees them struggling in lots of ways. It's a really vivid film. It's rich and overstuffed with vitality and the business of life. And yet, Gerwig is keenly aware of the undercurrents of sadness in everyday life. Little moments of regrets and grief well up, and then the jolliness continues. We get what we can in life, the film seems to say. In telling this story, Gerwig provides a number of stunning images that stay in the mind long after watching. In particular, a lovely sequence of Ronan and Chalomet dancing madly outside a ball that is just so full of life and energy, it's impossible to resist. Visually, it's beautiful. Shot on 35mm film, there's this fine grain and soft glow in the highlights, and fantastic production and costume design contributes massively to that period feeling. The camera often flies around scenes, twirling about the Marsh house as women storm around it in long, complex conversation scenes that are very carefully blocked and yet feel chaotic. Throughout the film's many energetic conversations, dialogue from multiple speakers overlaps, shot through with nicknames, petty arguments, and personal quirks in a warm and close way that feels like a true representation of family. The end result is a film that feels very much like an accurate period piece, closely concerned with the economic and legal status of women in the time that it's set, while also feeling utterly contemporary, a film that could not have been made 20 years ago. And indeed, Gillian Armstrong's 1994 version with Winona Ryder feels very different, while of course having its own charms. As for the cast, it's like a who's who of young and hip Hollywood. Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh, Emma Watson, Timothee Chalamet. There are welcome turns too from older hands like Laura Dern and Chris Cooper. But what's really remarkable is how these talented actors come together to form an ensemble. The importance of that to those long conversation scenes is impossible to overestimate, because it's that feeling of familial bond that draws the audience in for the sadder moments of the film. The characters are so compellingly realised by Greta Gerwig's script and by the performances of the actors that their hopes and dreams are joined with ours. We wish fervently for their successes and we feel their sorrows bitterly. A particular emphasis for me is on Saoirse Ronan, Timothee Chalamet and Florence Pugh. Pugh in particular plays a really dynamic character, deftly managing a mostly off-screen transition from frivolous to thoughtful. Chalamet likewise gets to play sweet, shy and weird in the childhood sections, which contrasts quite a lot with this later kind of boorish character that he becomes. And as for Saoirse Ronan, to me, she's the most irresistibly charming actor working currently, and she draws here on a seemingly endless source of energy to play this perpetual motion machine that is Jo Marsh, which just makes her struggles all the more poignant. With its complexity of meaning and performance, with its rich visuals and difficult structure, Little Women absolutely cements Greta Gerwig as a directing talent in a way that Lady Bird, for its perceived ordinariness, was unable to do in the eyes of some wrong people. Ignore Greta Gerwig at your peril. She's an extraordinary filmmaker, and Little Women is an extraordinary film. As ever, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you're a fan of the 1994 movie and can't see this replacing it. Maybe, like me, you think Saoirse Ronan's absolutely phenomenal and everyone should talk about her much, much more. I feel like we talk about her a lot, but I feel like maybe we could talk about her more. Either way, or if you have maybe some other opinions, I don't know, let's talk about them in the comments below. It'd be lovely to have a chat with you about Little Women. That's it from me. Have a good one. Bye for now.